Okay, you're going to open up Flash and choose an ActionScript 3.0 and then just regular default settings. First thing that we're going to do is go ahead and change the layer 1 to be called square. So you double click on it to rename it. And then we're going to come to the rectangle tool and choose your colors. Make your stroke width 15. And then also right here where it says width, we're going to change the width profile to, something else, any of those. So then you go ahead and draw a square or a rectangle. And you can see that the width profile is very easy to see, and that was what we were going for. Then we're going to go to frame 30 in your timeline and right click, and we're going to insert a blank keyframe. So then if I insert that blank keyframe, and now we're going to go to the oval tool and, switch things up a little bit and change the width profile to a different kind of width profile. And then go ahead and remember, if you hold down Shift, it'll make it so it's a perfect circle. Same thing for your rectangle, it'll make a perfect square. And now we're going to add a Shape Tween. So you right click, create Shape Tween. And then you can see that it goes from there, switches, and becomes the new shape. Okay? And that's all we're doing on that one. Kind of the point is saying that you can change every single part of this shape gets tweened. So then we'll make a new one. And we're going to go ahead and we'll call this flower. And in frame 1, I'm going to take my paintbrush and, make the color whatever. And you're going to draw a flower or some sort of kind of curved thing. So, yeah, drawing by hand can be tough sometimes. So mine's not turning out very pretty, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter if it's pretty. Okay, so there's that on that one. Now we're going to go to frame 30 and once again insert a blank keyframe. So remember, right click, insert blank keyframe. Now I'm going to show you a tool. It's called the onion skin tool. It's down here. Onion skin, and when you click on that, you can see a very faint outline of what you've already drawn. It shows you previous frames. So if you look how I've got these kind of black brackets, if I extend it, I can see more, and you can kind of see that taking effect here. I see more and more frames. The main reason I want to do this, though, is so that when I'm looking at frame 29, there's my flower. Frame 30 is empty, but I can still kind of see my flower. So that makes it so if I want to draw something right in the same place, I can. So you're going to take your paintbrush, and if you notice that if there are no options here, you can come up to this and change the color there. And I want you to do something spiky with just as many points. So I'm drawing it right over my flower, and I want to give it 5 points because my flower had 5 points. So just doing a spiky version. Okay? And then we'll add a Shape Tween to it. So right click anywhere in those gray frames and create Shape Tween. And then I can watch it play and see how it does. And it's not bad. One thing that you can do, and I'm going to turn off onion skin for right now, is add shape hints. And they kind of will help the way that your shapes morph. So while I don't know if we'll actually be able to improve this shape, I just want you to know these are here. So you have to be in frame 1 in order to do it. And you go up to Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint. And it gives you this little A. And you want to start in the top left and then go counterclockwise. That's the best way to position these. So we positioned the little A there. And then if I go to 30, there's another A. And then I can tell it. Okay, so that curve. Do I want that curve of the flower to morph into this? Do I want it to morph into that? You just kind of decide how you want it to morph. Then you can press enter and see if it helped at all. I don't know if I'd say it really did in this case. And I honestly think that it would work better if I was morphing it into this one. Oh, that didn't help it at all. Okay, so I'll move it back. The more points you put in, the more exact it can be sometimes. So you could go modify, shape, add a shape hint, and I could go ahead and put another one there. And then tell it, all right, I want that one to become this one. Okay, so in this case, that doesn't really seem to be helping any. The other one was okay. So I could right-click on this one. Oh, but I do have to be on frame 1. So I'll right-click here and I can remove hint, or you can remove all hints. I'll just remove the one, and I'll keep that one. Didn't really do much for it, but I'll leave it there. Okay, now go ahead and add a new layer, and we're going to call this one Face. I'm going to go on frame 1, and I'm going to use my paintbrush again. And so I'll go ahead and I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I'm going to, and I could change the size. Oops, that's the shape. That's the size. And I'm going to create a face. And it's going to start out as a frowny face. So, okay. Well, actually, I'll leave that where it was. Okay, so frowny face here. Now, instead of what we have been doing, we're going to insert just a regular keyframe. So insert keyframe. That's because I don't want to have to redraw the eyes, because then the eyes will look like they move, because it's hard to draw the exact same shape twice. So what you'll do is you'll take your selection arrow and just click anywhere in the blank so that the face is deselected, but then just click on the mouth and press delete. Now with my paintbrush, I'm going to draw a smiley face. And I'll create a shape tween in between the two, so create shape tween, and we'll watch it go. So it actually does a pretty good job. If yours was weird and like the eyes move and things mess up, you would use shape hints. So I would probably do modify, shape, add a shape hint. Now I can tell you right now, this is going to screw mine up because mine didn't have a problem. But let's say I tell it, okay, so on frame 1, I wanted this eye to be there, so I just make sure to tell it on frame 30 that that eye is the same. Okay, so it didn't mess mine up. But that would be the kind of thing you would do if your eyes were doing weird things. And if while you're working on this you can't get yours right, call me over and I'll help you with it, because I had to do that when we worked on this in class. Okay, we're done with that one. So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create... Let me make sure I haven't skipped anything. No. We're going to create an eye. And we're going to do this by starting out with the line tool. So I'm going to take the line tool, and I'm going to choose a color. And if you wanted, you could try to go for kind of skin color. And in order to make it so it stands out, I'm also going to click just anywhere in my blank stage so I can change my stage color. So I'll change it to really faint, faint green. I like that. And now I'll go back to my line tool. Let's see. We'll put it right here. Oh, I still have my width profile on. I want to get rid of that. I want to make sure that the width is just set to uniform, the regular one. And draw that. Okay. And let's make sure to name this one Eyelid. And you take that and you get the width tool. Well, actually first, oh, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Okay, so we're going to make an eye that's closed, open, closed. So on 15, we're going to insert a keyframe. And then on 30, we will also insert a keyframe. Okay, so right now it all looks exactly the same because we want it to be open at the beginning, and we want it to be, closed at the beginning and closed at the end. Then in 15, that's where we're going to make the eye open. So that's when I go over to the width tool. And if you hover in the middle of the width tool until you kind of get to where you think is center and then click and drag, we're going to make it, kind of like an open eyelid. Okay. Now I want it to actually stay open for a little while, so that's why I'm going to leave it as is and go to 20. And I'm going to insert a keyframe. So between 15 and 20, it's exactly the same, nothing changes. Then you just right click in between 1 and 15 and create a shape tween. And insert between 20 and 30 and create a shape tween. And then when you watch it play, see that it opens and closes again. Okay? So that's the eyelid. Now we're going to do an eyeball. So new layer, call it eyeball. And I'm going to use the line tool, and I had it at 15. The eyeball should be a little smaller, so I'm going to make it 10. And I'm going to change it to white because that tends to be, you know, the color of people's eyeballs. And I'll make sure I'm on frame 1. And I'll just start right around there. Oh, that's still a little thick. I guess it'll work. Now we got to Control Z. Okay. For one thing, when the eye is completely closed, you're not going to see any of the eyeball, right? So that means frame 1 is empty. And then I'm going to go to frame 2 and I'm going to insert a blank keyframe because I want the eyeball to be not even visible until frame 2. And then when I go back to my line tool, so 2, go to my line tool, and let's try that again. And I can use I can select it to kind of move it so it's a little more centered. Okay, so I did it on frame 2. That's important. Okay, now when the eye is at its most, wide, I'm going to want to have the eyeball wide. So insert a keyframe at 15. And then we're also going to insert a keyframe, not at 30, but at 29. Insert a keyframe. Now the white line will still be there on 30 unless we insert a blank keyframe. So you'll right click and insert blank keyframe. Okay, so now that means that on the first frame and the last frame, the white disappears. Okay, so then on 15, once again, I'll take that width tool and I'm going to click and drag and make it as though it's opened. And then I want it to stay open. And then on 20, I will insert a keyframe. And let's add those shape tweens. So right click, create shape tween, and then right click in between 20 and 30 or 29 and insert or create a shape tween. And we'll watch it. So it opens, closes. And that's exactly what we want. Now, just for a heads up, let's see, shape tween. If you look, in class we made a pupil, or the iris of it as well, but you can see that the basic idea is going to still be the same for that. If you go ahead and you add another layer and you do the eyeball would be a line, and it would pretty much match up for the most part with this. Time's a little short, and I didn't actually require all the classes to do the full eye, so as long as you have the eyeball and the eyelid, you're good. And if you're interested in doing the pupil, you can talk with me and I'll help you out personally. So then just make sure you go to File, Publish Settings. We don't need HTML, so you uncheck that one. Just Flash. You go ahead and call it Shape Tween. And then use the folder so that you know where it's going. And then you have to make sure to hit Publish. And then you can say OK. And then just make sure that that .swift file is the one that you turn in on Canvas. So you come to your Shape Tween assignment and turn that in. And you're done. Nice job.